We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Hitting Let's Go on Wisdom. We are live on Wisdom. Give me an audio test real quick before I hit the record button on the box.
Hello, 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 hello.
All right, Wisdom is working. I see the little dot moving when you talk. I see it
Hello,
when I...
hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, we are live. Everybody just know that we are in the backstage right now. This is not the full recording of the podcast yet. But we are just making sure everything's working. Two goofballs talking about shit that we probably don't know nothing about, but we're going to have fun with it anyways. All right, with all that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. We'll get the disclaimer out of the way too before we start talking about the topics I got tonight.
Probably a good idea.
Right? All right, hit record and going live.
A lot of podcasts these days. Tippy toe around everybody's little feelings. The little snowflakes are fragile. But you won't get any of that crap here. Welcome to the Mark G Show. From political issues to cultural issues to current events and everything in between, we're talking about it. And we talk about it how we want, melting the little snowflakes. This is the Mark G Show, and this is Mark G.
What is going on? Dear God, it's been a minute since we recorded. It's been about 2 weeks. Or has it been a week? I don't even know.
Been a little while.
2 weeks. Our last episode was Johnny Miz. By the way, before we go any further, Johnny Miz, happy birthday. I did notice it was your birthday today, my man. So happy birthday to you, Johnny Miz. Hope you have a fantastic day. But yeah.
Happy birthday, big dog. Yeah.
Right? Big doggy.
Big dog.
It's called you a big dog. Gary, you're calling a previous guest a dog now?
Yeah.
That's
Get out of here with that bullshit. Dog is man's best friend, homie.
right. So not much has really happened in the news world except for a few things. You know, Hunter Biden's had his phone information hacked into, which we'll be talking about. We got a special video to play on that one. But right now, one of the biggest things being talked about is the nuclear warnings that New Yorkers have been getting, where it's a special video giving them instructions on what to do if a nuclear bomb goes off in New York. I mean, to be honest with you, if it goes off, you ain't going to fucking know. You're going to be dead. You're going to be fried and burnt up to a crisp. You're going to look like Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, it's done with.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember asking my buddy, we were chatting one night about like ancient ruins. And then I was just like, what do you think like the ancient ruins of like our society is going to be? And he said rebar.
Rebar.
There'll be towers of rebar.
Interesting.
And I was like, man, that's kind of eerie to think about, right?
Right. So, you know, a lot of things come into play. Speaking of Biden's real quick. Joe there got himself a little case of the Rona, supposedly.
I wish him well.
Right. Well, he's recovered. He's already back in the Oval Office.
All right.
Recovery, thanks to his doctors and everything else. I mean, I was really hoping.
Quadruple vax, still got sick, right?
Right, that's it. And DeSantis, you know, wished him well, and then also wished America a speedy recovery from Biden. That was fucking hilarious. I couldn't find the audio clip. I so wanted to play that on the show, but I could not find the audio clip in order to play it.
Yeah, man. That's funny as fuck.
That was funny as fuck. DeSantis don't give a fuck. That's what I love about DeSantis, man. But no, so we got a couple of different things. So we're talking about New York. And what I'm going to do real quick is I am going to drop off our little branding that we got going on over here, the 2 overlay. And I'm going to bring up the New York City article here. Let me just get it thrown over this side. Oh, shoot, I lost you, brother. Hold on. Oop. Uh-oh. No, wrong one. Hold on, Gary. See, this is what happens, you guys, when you produce your own show. You got multiple screens. We got 2 screens now, which is nice.
Everything looks the same on my end, though. Just an FYI.
Well, I'm about ready to change it. You already got the logo changed off, though, right? The Mark G shows off.
All right. Yes. Yeah.
That's what I want. So yeah, we'll pull up this real quick because this ain't something I have to put a disclaimer on just yet. And then once we get, are you hearing that static?
No, but I'm hearing some sort of music or something.
You shouldn't hear no music. All right, give me 1 second here. So we got this New York City issues. New York new nuclear attack PSA. Here's a reaction to the warning. I'm going to leave this on the screen real quick so people can read that. I'm going to take care of that noise you're hearing right now. This is what happens when you do a live studio recording in your dining room / kitchen, folks. This gets interesting trying to run a show like this.
In the meantime, it is kind of gnarly to have nuclear scares, no matter what.
In the meantime, what?
I was just saying it's kind of gnarly to have nuclear scares, no matter what, whether they're legitimate, if it's just training, like just nuclear attack talk is nerve rattling.
Right. So we're going to pull this up. I'm going to make it bigger here over just a second.
Just turn it down on the
YouTube. So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why. Just know that the big one. Okay, so what do? There are 3 important steps that I want you to remember. Step 1, get inside fast. You, your friends, your family, get inside. And no, staying in the car is not an option. You need to get into a building and move away from the windows. Step 2, stay inside. Shut all doors and windows. Have a basement? Head there. If you don't have one, get as far into the middle of the building as possible. If you were outside after the blast, get clean immediately. Remove and bag all outer clothing to keep radioactive dust or ash away from your body. Step 3, stay tuned. Follow media for more information. Don't forget to sign up for Notify NYC for official alerts and updates. And don't go outside until officials say it's safe. All right? You've got this.
So imagine millions of New Yorkers seeing this on TV, having this announcement paid for by the government, and having that come across.
Can't hear you. Can
you hear me now?
Yeah, I think you turned yourself down and you left that video super loud.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, just imagine thousands of New Yorkers waking up and hearing that. Not thousands, millions rather.
Right.
And having that message. And then your governor coming on saying, oh, we played this by mistake.
How do you play that by mistake? Why did you make it is the question.
Exactly. Now, granted, you got to be prepared for everything, right? You got to be prepared.
Right.
Any natural disaster or any man-made disaster that happens. But to have that video play and then downplay saying, oh. And then here's where I'm going to put out my disclaimer before I play this next one. Folks, everything you are hearing on this show for our YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Apple, and Spotify, and so forth is the opinions of myself, my brother, and any guest that we bring onto the show as a commentary from either the Wisdom app or through a direct link through YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. It is the opinions of ourselves. It is for entertainment purposes only. You do with the information as you please. With that being said, this next audio that I'm going to play comes from TikTok. So obviously, son of a business, that was loud. So this next audio clip is from TikTok, and I'm going to play this audio. We don't really need to, per se, see this video because there ain't much to it. But I'm just going to play the audio. When you hear this, it's kind of funky here. Hold on. We're going to get it set up. All right, here's the audio.
Massachusetts, and I have a lot of friends in the National Guard. One of them's an E8, actually a couple of them are E7s. And one of them called his wife, who are good friends with the family, and told us, he was sent out to training 2 weeks ago. He was only supposed to be there for a week. So his wife gets a phone call, and he's telling her, hey, listen, I'm going to be out here longer. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, but there's something I got to tell you. And she says, what? And he says, listen, they have us doing a lot of weird stuff. He said, I've been out here training at night, and for the last week, we've been doing night training. And he said, basically, quote unquote, training. They have us loading live ordnance into the back of trucks under the complete cover of darkness. They're not allowed to use any flashlights. The buildings where they're getting the
I want to pause that real quick because live ordnance, folks, just so you keep in mind when you're listening to this phone call, a live ordnance can be anything from rounds of ammunition, 2 bombs, 2 grenades. It can be anything as far as live ordnance goes. They're not being specific on this live ordnance. I'm going to continue playing it. But remember, this goes into play with the whole New York thing as you listen to this guy. Now, mind you, this did come from TikTok, whether it's just scare tactics or not. This is just, you do with the information as you please. I'm going to continue playing it, and we'll let it finish out.
ordinance from. They're not allowed to have lights on. The trucks are not allowed to have lights on, and they're only allowed to use night vision. And he tells his wife, he said, hey, listen, you got to tell our friends, and I want you to do this. You need to go get extra batteries, and you need to fill up the gas cans to the generator and go get more gas cans. He said, there's a lot of rumors floating around. I don't know what's going to happen. Now, I have other friends in there, so I wanted to confirm this. So I asked one of my other buddies to give a call and ask what's going on. I said, hey, you in training? And he said, yeah, I'm in training. I'm in New York. He said, I'm only supposed to be here for 2 weeks, and now they're telling us that they don't know how long we're going to be here. And I asked him, I said, are you training at night with live ordnance? And there was about an hour pause before a message came back. And he said, how the bleep do you know that? And he doesn't know I'm talking to the other one. I guess the most creepy thing he was saying is that they're loading truck after truck with live ordnance under the complete cover of darkness. And he told me that in his 15 years of service, he's never done any type of training like this. And they never sent them to New York to do this. Usually when the Massachusetts National Guard does their training, they go down to the Bourne base, which is on the Cape, or they go to Fort Devens. So they're over in New York doing this. Now, I don't know if you covered this, but the same week that they're there training, New York television released a public service announcement. It was a video, and it freaked a bunch of people out to the point where the governor had to respond to it, telling people what to do in the event of a nuclear explosion. So it just seems to me like things are really getting serious over here enough where people that are 15, 20 years in are freaked out by what's going on and calling their wives, telling them to go buy extra batteries, go get extra food, go fill up the gas cans for the generator, tell our friends to do this. We don't know what's going to happen, but I guess there's a lot of rumors going around. And when she asked, what are the rumors going around? He told her, I really can't say anything on the phone, and I shouldn't even have said this to you on the phone. So I just want people to know, if you have friends in the Guard or you're in the Guard, you should be paying attention to what you're doing for training, because I'm pretty sure you're going to be doing this kind of stuff. And I hate to say it, but I really think something's going to happen in New York.
All right, so I'm going to leave it as that. I want to nitpick a little bit on this. Like I said before, live ordnance can be from anything from live ammunition rounds, obviously. It can be from grenades. It can be from anything. It doesn't just necessarily have to be a big boomer, right? So it can be anything as far as that. Nighttime training. I don't know why that sergeant, I think he said he was an E. What did he say that rank was again? Do you remember?
E7, but I don't know shit about rank, so I could be just making that up.
All right,
One of them's an E8, actually.
E8, okay. So this E8.
I thought he said EA.
Yeah, no, E8.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm not sure what he's ever done for training. I
What's
know
an E8 though. What is that?
he said National Guard, right? Hold on. I can't remember now. It's been so long since I've been out. I'll tell you exactly 2 seconds what an E8 in the Army is. An E8 is, you get a nice pay raise, though. It's a master sergeant. So that master sergeant's never done training like this before. Now, I was trained as 21 Bravo, which is a combat engineer, but we also was on a facility with 88 Mikes, which were truck drivers. We participated in some of their training when we were out there. And some of the training we did in basic was exactly what he said. We weren't loading live ordinances, but we were doing nighttime drive. Okay, hold on. I got to silence that. So we were doing this nighttime driving that you're hearing about. You're driving with no headlights on. You're driving behind the vehicle in front of you. You had a lead vehicle, but they also did not have headlights on. And as you're driving, you're following like the brake lights, kind of staying behind and keeping your distance. And you're driving through. And we didn't do this far. I mean, we did it, I think it was a 5-mile drive, if I can remember correctly. This is on our way during our FTX training, which is a field training exercise where we're staying in camp. So we have done this type of training. Now, I'm not sure, like I said, what this master sergeant's MOS was. So maybe he has never done any training like that. So you got to take this as it is. I myself have reached out to a buddy of mine who is in the National Guard in Florida to see if he's heard of anything like this. Now, granted, he may be hushed about it. He won't be able to say anything to me in regards to it, but he's never really been hushed with me in regards to this stuff before. So if he can confirm, if he can at least say yes or no and be very blunt to it, I will find out hopefully within the next 24 to 48 hours, because I did send him over this information. I forwarded this to him Said, hey, if you've heard anything in regards to this, are you still getting my audio? Okay. So we're going to come back to this on our next episode, but I want to play this just because I want it timestamped on our podcast. If anything does go, and God forbid, but if anything does happen within New York, you know, people can sit there and say, fuck, the signs were there. Why were we not paying attention? I mean, what are your thoughts on this, my brother? After you've heard this, you've seen the video of the public service announcement that was played in New York, and then you hear this.
I mean, for me, it really, really, really comes down to the validity of who that person is, but he's supposed to remain anonymous. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the thing with all of these leaks. I mean, there's some real leaks that we'll probably talk about a little later tonight, but when it comes to these types of things that are like unverifiable,
right?
It just like, I don't know.
It's kind of like the Mayan calendar. Remember that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, that's slightly different, but there's, in terms of conspiracy theories, there are things that are leaked for real, right? That get out. And then there's things that are just a bit overreach. And I'm
now, could this be something done by another country? Could that person not even be American who
totally
video, you know, just
totally
to cause to stir the pot, cause panic, to make people start freaking out? And
Absolutely.
we already got a shortage, right? We've already got a food shortage. And you put out a video like this, and if it goes viral and people start freaking out, people don't think before they react. So all of a sudden now they're out there to the store, they're buying up all the toilet paper again. They're buying up all the food again. Now the shortage gets even worse, which then creates more of a pandemic in the United States because now our food shortage is getting even worse. So could have this been that? I mean, it could have been someone doing it here on our own soil that just wants to stir the pot. You don't know. But that's why I said I reached out to my buddy who's in the National Guard, see if he's heard of anything about this. If they're out in New York, I don't know if he mentioned what base, but they should be in Fort Drum. So if we do have anybody without Fort Drum that wouldn't mind sending me, you know, you don't have to go into details, but confirm or deny whether or not there's any type of training. Well, there's always training for Fort Drum, but any type of nighttime training that's going on right now. I would love
that mimics what this person was talking about in terms of live rounds and
exactly
unprecedented type of activity, training, whatever.
Stuff that you never have experienced before while doing military training. Let us know.
Yeah.
So no, I mean that, and speaking of nuclear, so one of the things I did for interesting factors here, folks, so you're listening to Apple and Spotify, even on Wisdom, I'm about ready to pull up a U.S. nuclear target list that I have found.
Why do these things exist? That's so weird to me.
Well, it exists, number one, because you got to think of planned strategics, right? So if another country was to attack us, we should kind of know where they might be attacking. But at the same time, this kind of shows a country where to hit us. But I'm going to pull this up.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, hey, enemies, here are some amazing points for you to attack.
So this is pulled off of the Survival Geek website. I follow this website a little bit, and I do keep an eye on it. So it does say, like, okay, let me pull this right up here. So most of the United States nuclear target destinations have been identified by considering strategic assets such as overpopulated states, military bases, depots for military ammunition, states with major industries that could contribute to economic decline if destroyed by a nuclear attack, and states with significant infrastructure facilities such as water reservoirs, power plants, and information technology systems. You already know New York's in there. LA's definitely in there. But we're going to go through here. So the U.S. nuclear target list, there are several locations in the U.S. listed in the nuclear target map as potential zones for nuclear strikes, and they include Fort Ritchie in Maryland, Camp David, and the Pentagon. Obviously, the Pentagon, strategically thinking, if someone was to attack the U.S., you'd want to hit that right because that's where all of our top leaders are at as far as military-wise goes. They are in the Pentagon. You attack the Pentagon, you are taking out some of our major generals right from there. But let's go through. It goes through here. So the federal government also has identified Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, and New York as most likely to be targeted for nuclear attacks. These states are not only the largest and densest cities in the United States, but they also have the critical infrastructures such as major financial hubs, energy plants, wireless transmission systems, and government facilities that are essential to the country's security. When you read that, there was an article I read somewhere, and I don't know, I can't remember where it is, something about stock market exchanges. A lot of stuff is being positioned down in Florida, whether or not, again, if that's legit, because I've always noticed the stock is ran in New York. That's always been where the stock market's been ran. If I can get confirmation on that for anybody that may be heavy into stocks, please get back to me because I don't want to send out any misinformation. But like I said, this show is for entertainment purposes only. Do with it as you please. The Naval Station Norfolk is one of the largest global naval stations, which is located in southeastern Virginia. Although the base was established more than 100 years ago, it currently houses more than 150,000 personnel, including the Department of Defense soldiers, reservists, family members, and dependents. So if you really think about this, and you got San Diego is one of the states with the largest bases for U.S. Navy. It also is one of the Pacific Fleet's major home ports and has approximately 50 ships and more than 120 tenant commands.
So I'm going to jump around a little bit. So try to keep me on track if
Sure.
you can. Since we're talking about the Navy is why I'm bringing this up. Are we sending the USS Reagan right now over towards Taiwan and China? Or are we sending some sort of some sort of battleship, cruise ship or something to that region in place of Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? Have you heard about that? Do you know about that?
I briefly read up on it, but I didn't hear. Did you see anything about a ship being deployed?
I don't know. I just read, I just skimmed. I saw it. I think today at work, I was skimming an article, but then I got busy, so I couldn't read it for real.
Cara Morris is proud to be in the center. I'm guessing she's talking about her location where she lives.
Center of what?
We're talking about the center of the states. Well, here's the thing, right? So a nuclear fallout, regardless of wherever it strikes, everywhere in the U.S. is going to experience some type of downfall from it. Even if it's not a direct impact, you're still going to experience some type of downfall from it.
Any coastal city is going to have a port. First thing you do is you attack the ports, so that way it completely chokes and snuffs out the supply chain. Right? If you can shut off the supply chain to a country, then you basically you just suffocate them because they're unable to get resources.
Exactly. Where were we now?
Airports.
Yeah, we're talking San Diego, so we're talking about the U.S. Navy. Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington is also one of the nuclear targets in the U.S. because it hosts bases. Arguably, the naval station in Vermont, and Naval Submarine Base in Bangor merged to form the third largest Navy base in the United States, known as Naval Base Kitsap. Look at that size of that. Los Alamos National Laboratory. The laboratory is primarily local for nuclear bomb design in the U.S., located in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Although there are other labs, Los Alamos is the target because of the pillar of bomb design and hosts the world's most famous scientists. It's amazing what you learn, too, as you try, when you're studying the stuff at a podcast and you read prior and you learn more stuff when you dig into it. It is very interesting. And Cara Moore says, yes, I live in Missouri. I live in the sticks.
So,
but don't forget, Missouri, that's where I train. You've also got a nice military facility base out there.
I like the people in Missouri. I talk to a lot of folks in Missouri. They're super rad people. They're just mellow.
Missouri is nice.
They're just
fucking nuts.
What is?
The weather out in Missouri is freaking I went down there when I went to basic down there. I went to basic right around springtime, but this is right break, but it's about ready to be spring and summer. It was so fucking crazy about it is 1 minute, dude, it was like 70 degrees. It was fucking nice. It was beautiful. About halfway through the day, it just started fucking snowing out of nowhere. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
There's some random spots like that, dude, that just have super erratic weather.
It was like, it was fucking, I'd never seen anything.
Oklahoma too.
Or like the tornadoes are fucking nuts too. Tornadoes are crazy. It's the first time I've ever experienced a tornado was out there. Carmore says, I'm the storm chaser. LOL. What about Fort Knox? That's where most of our tanks. Gotcha. I don't see anything about Fort Knox on here as of yet. Where I base in San Antonio, it is a military
Bragg, though.
Right, it's under the Air Force Base Wing jurisdiction, also a joint base for the. You notice? Well, okay, wait. The Army Airfield, Lackland Air Force, and U.S. Army Fort Sam Houston. So that makes chance. Let's see. Fort Bragg. You said something about Fort Bragg a second ago, didn't you?
I just said right there. It's Fort Bragg.
Right. Yeah, it's the home of the United States Special Forces and Airborne Forces, U.S. Army Reserve Command, and the Army Force Command that is located in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Or North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina. Kansas City National Security Campus is a facility that produces approximately 85% of nuclear components and are used in the U.S. nuclear weapon arsenal.
Is that Fayetteville or Fayetteville?
Maybe Fayetteville. I am so bad at pronouncing shit. It's unreal.
I love it. I love it.
Shut up.
It's so good.
What we got here? I'm in Missouri too. Car is my daughter. Gotcha. Well, welcome in, Leanne Sharp.
Yeah, welcome in.
All right. Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado Springs. Cheyenne Mountain serves as a center for military communications. Dude, Colorado's beautiful. I love living. When I lived out in Colorado Springs, I loved it out there. That is one of the most beautiful states I've ever been to is Colorado. Offa Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska serves as the headquarters for the Air Force Weather Agency and U.S. Strategic Command. Yeah, I can see how taking that out. According to the FEMA map of likely nuclear targets, the most active nuclear power plants in the United States are also included in the list, such as plants that include Beaver Valley, McCandless, Pennsylvania, Arkansas Nuclear Russellville, AR, Braidwood and Julia, Illinois, Browns Ferry in Huntsville, Alabama, Brunswick and Wilmington, North Carolina, Byron and Rockford, Illinois, Oconee Nuclear Station. Oh boy, here we go. Catawba, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Anybody want to yell at me for pronouncing that one? North Anna, Richmond, Virginia. Dear God, 9 Mile Point, Oswego, New York, and Palo Verde and Phoenix, Arizona. So we're going to read the safest states in just a second. I mean, you think about it. You do have New York on the list. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but New York's a pretty big state. So are they talking about what part in New York is, where is Oswego, New York?
Let's find out. Let me click on this link here because there is a link. So let's go to this link real quick. Location is Scribba, New York, 6 miles northeast of Oswego.
So like Google Map Oswego, New York.
All right. Well, let's Google Map Scribba, New York.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah, because that's where it's actually at. All right. Maps right here. Really? Gonna be that small? Oh, okay. So it's by Syracuse, Utica, Rochester, Buffalo. So it's right about here. It's right on the water line, right by the Canadian border. So I don't see how that, I don't know how big the population is out there. So I'm still saying that I think New York City would actually be the main target. But like I said, that's just speculation. Because if you want to take out a huge population, that would be it. We got some more stuff in here. It's Fort Wood on that list. We did not see Fort Leonard Wood. Then John Moore commented and says, there is a tiny reactor in Rolla, Missouri at S&T, the University of Science and Technology. Interesting. I never knew that. See, you learn new stuff, and I love when people comment on our videos and stuff like that because you do that, right? So I love it. And then, of course, there is safest states from a nuclear attack. Let's see if my state's on it. Here we go. So the United States is not a completely safe place, but it only has safer places for nuclear targets. The areas that are considered the safest states from nuclear attacks include Salem, Oregon.
That's like 45 minutes from here.
You're an asshole then.
Eh.
Bolstered seismic infrastructure facilities that can mitigate damages from nuclear damage. Further states which do not have nuclear power plants, such as Northern California, West Virginia, Minnesota, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Illinois, Rhode Island, and Minnesota are considered safer. Damn, Maine's fucked.
I mean, well, I wouldn't say you're fucked. You're pretty close to a lot of those places, but
yeah, I mean, we're about 2.5 hours away from Massachusetts, depending on where in Mass. I mean, but maybe
Connecticut, though.
Yeah, Connecticut, Massachusetts is closer to us than Connecticut.
Yeah, but that's like not by. Oh yeah, what? Oh yeah, I'm thinking. What am I thinking? Vermont.
Vermont, yeah, Vermont.
Yeah.
And the least populated states in the U.S. also have a limited likelihood of attack. Such as states include Alaska, Vermont, North and South Dakota, Delaware, and Wyoming. However, it does not mean that you will be safe from a nuclear attack. If you live in sparsely populated area, all you have to do is consider this assets which are considerably target. Maine is also one of the safest places because it has violent crimes, low natural disaster risk, and no nuclear bases nearby.
There you go.
All right, there we go. There's my state. Thank you, Maine.
Yeah, but you got shit winters, bro. You got shit.
Screw Mills, but Maine is safe. But our crime rate has been going up. I wonder. This article was recently written.
Everybody's crime rate's going up, bro. That's
Dude. So
everybody.
Speaking of crime rate, right? We know it's going to happen. When you get inflation, people get desperate. They start breaking into stuff. They start robbing people. They just get desperate, and they got to figure a way to feed their family.
Yep.
Someone in Maine, in York, Maine, stole a $400,000 Lambo, and crashed the fucker.
What kind of drugs was he on?
Dude, they had to have been high. They stole it from valet at that.
Oh my god!
Valet,
hey, that's ballsy. That's ballsy.
You want now?
I gotta commend that kind of like when you're so stupid that you just got balls to steal. Like I don't know. There's something honorable about that. Right. Unless they're on drugs, then you're just fucking. You don't know what's going on.
Oh shit. John Moore was responding back, saying he knows where some caves are to hide, and also says some Missouri is screwed. Good possibility, John and Kara. But yeah, so like not only that, now here's something more ballsy. In Kennebunk, Maine, there's a bank that's pretty well exposed. It's on a main strip of the road. It's one of the main roads into Kennebunk, Maine. And the bank sits right there. The ATM is pretty much right in view. Somebody hijacked a truck in Arundel, Maine, took that truck that they stole from the garage, drove to this bank that's out of the view, that's on a main road, crashed into the ATM, stole all the money inside the ATM, and stole the deposit boxes from the ATM and got away with it. We now have the FBI, local police, sheriff, state police, all involved in trying to track this person down, but they've yet to find him.
Oh man, that's so good.
And like, number one, I'm not sure, and I think I've seen people post about it on Facebook. I know I've said it numerous times, like, with all the technology we have in today's world, why have any of these stores, ATMs, and banks upgraded their damn camera systems? If anybody can chime in on this and give me an actual answer, I would love to hear from you. Whether it's on Wisdom, even comment on Facebook, like, why haven't they not upgraded these camera systems to find that?
Yeah, right. That's a great question, man. Like all security cameras should essentially be 4K cameras. Like,
they should
just be like of the utmost quality, just the highest fucking glass you could find, the best sensor, the best low light, dark technology. Like, it's a security camera. It should be impressive if it's going to like keep your place secure.
Exactly.
Weird, right?
It's not. You guys, we'll keep going off subject, but that's one of the things
yeah.
that makes our show unique. So listen, my brother and I, we're just
shitty winters.
love winter here. But listen, we always go off subject. My brother and I have like this ADHD and ADD type of thing. We will try to bounce it back to the right subject that we're on. But that's what happens on our show. We get veered off. But, if you think about it, people getting desperate does kind of come into a play because you really got to think about it too. How well protected are you right now? Is a question you should be asking yourself and asking your better half or asking your roommates. If shit was to hit the fan right now, if there was to be, regardless, not even say a nuclear attack. Hold on, let me pull this website off real quick. We don't need this website up right now. So if we were to go into a full-blown nuclear attack or major thing that happens, whether it be a natural disaster or whatnot, how prepared are you? Do you have food enough to sustain you for at least 30 days? Do you have everything in your house that you would need? Fuck electronics, because electronics don't mean shit at that point. Do you have ham radios? Do you have walkie-talkies to communicate with your neighbors that you trust, with your other family members that may be within the area? Do you have these such things? Do you have food to last you? In all reality, how prepared are you? I know myself, I have 13 ham radios in my house, handheld ham radios in my house. My son that's moved out of the house already has one in his hands for direct communication if anything was to go wrong. Yes, Facebook.
How long do those things, what's the range?
They say 30 miles, which is a crock of bullshit.
Can you talk to the oldest? Can you talk to the oldest if you turn it on and you go, "Hey, dipshit," is he going to know you're there?
Yes, we can talk to each other. He knows to keep it charged, check it, make sure if the battery starts dwindling down, to turn it on, let the battery die out, recharge it to give the battery recycle. Speaking of that, I can do this to that on the rest of my radios. But yeah, so they only go about 1.5 miles, which my neighbor has one, which he bought his own. My son has his, who's moved out. When the other kids, the older ones, move out, they will also get one as well. It's just, you never know. And Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, it's about ready to flag me because I'm admitting to prepping. But to be honest with you, you can call me crazy and call me a 10 foil hat wearer or not. You should be prepping for anything, whether it be friggin' the world coming to an end, whether it be a natural disaster. You should automatically be prepared. You should have a grill. Really should. You should have a form of way to cooking food, because if anything happens, you lose power, guess what? You're not cooking in your oven. You're not cooking on your stovetop. You're going to have a way of cooking your food. You're going to have a way to keep your frozen food as frozen as long as you can. You're going to have a way to store your water. You're going to have at least...
Get a Berkey filter.
Yeah, that's what you have, right?
Well, I'm getting one. I want to get one, rather. Like the unfortunate thing is they do filter out all the minerals and everything. But if you just need a water, like if you have say if you're cooking food, right, you could like beans or rice or something. If you have some sort of staple, at least you could filter whatever water is near you. If you have any body of water and you can drink it, add salt to it, try to get a big old shitload, get a bucket of Redmond's real salt. That'll save your life too. You know what I mean? There's just a couple of things, handful of things, right, if you get a Berkey.
Hold on that thought real quick. We got a bunch of messages coming over on TikTok, not TikTok, but on Facebook. I want to get through some of those, but let's talk about that whole water thing. There's some scary shit about how people are storing water and getting in trouble with it, but we're going to talk about that in just a second.
I store water.
Right? You could get in trouble.
No, not from our government.
No? Okay. So John Moore over on Facebook says there was some seats in Kansas City that robbed a GameStop when the PS4 came out, took everything in the store, including the security cameras and the recording device.
That's epic.
Right? All over a video game. People do not want to spend the extra money. I guess that's probably back when I was talking about prepping and starting to store stuff. We'll talk about that. Honestly, we are too broke for it. Leanna Sharp says, how are we to prepare without income and with inflation so high? I believe we are where the government wants us, so we can't prepare. good old CB would. Yes, a CB would definitely work. I'm going to get to your answers too in just a second, John. Good old CB would do it. Yes, a CB would definitely work as well. We have our camping utensils.
Hey, giant bags of rice and giant bags of bean are actually very affordable.
That's
Like,
what I'm all ready to jump onto.
dude, like 50-pound bags of rice might be $50. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty damn affordable. And if you take like I think beans and rice together are a complete protein. So I think it's a pretty solid staple if you can do that and maybe grow a little bit of produce or find someone who does grow a little bit of produce, or produce is relatively affordable too if you feel like you absolutely need it. But yeah, beans and rice, man, that's pure gold right there.
When I can't remember what scare was, but that was one of the things that I did is I went out and bought a fucking couple big ass bags of rice and a couple of big ass bags of beans. They last up for a few years.
Yeah.
You know, you can store them up in there. When they start getting ready to expire and you need to cook them up, that's fine. Make a nice big pot of chili with rice, and just go buy a couple more bags to replace those ones. That's what I plan on doing when those start to get ready to expire. I'm going to cook me up a freaking big ass batch of chili and go to town on it and make my wife want to kill me, but it'll be good. And Sharp says lived off beans. Yeah, you know, lived off beans. Hell, I lived off government cheese when I was a kid. You guys remember the old government cheese that your parents used to get? Like it was literally a block. I can't remember. It was like, I think it was brown bag or brown packaging. Did you ever see that, my brother? Like the government? No. Really?
Yeah.
Like
we had food stamps. But
paper food stamps.
Yeah, paper food stamps. Legit paper food stamps. I would go to like the local store, whatever, if it was the liquor store or like the pizza shop or the sub shop, and pay with food stamps, dude. I was super embarrassed as a kid about that too.
I wasn't so much because, you know, it's funny when my mom gave it to me and say, hey, here, this is for you to go buy your lunch or whatever. I know I would use it. I would go buy a 25-cent pack of gum. I get back 75 cents. I do that a couple of times, get a few dollars of real cash because they never have change, right? They never had change in the stamp. So you get back this change and then you go back and you get that good food, like that hot food, because you couldn't buy hot food.
Yeah, right.
With them, right? So you're like, fuck, I want some hot food. So,
go exchange it for real money. That's great, dude. That's dope. Yeah.
Let's see. You still get it. It's now in a white packing like Velveeta.
Oof.
Oh, okay. So you do really? Interesting. I got to find somebody who gets government cheese. I want to see that shit. Leanne Sharp says she remembers those. That's interesting. Like I didn't know government cheese still exists. And then like they used to have the powdered milk and stuff too. Like my mom used to get stuff. My mom's a single mother raising 2 boys.
Right.
So she got all this stuff. But
that's
yeah.
wild.
It is. It's freaking crazy. But in all reality, regardless, as far as prepping goes, I'm not saying go ham. I'm not saying go out now and buy freaking $1,000 worth of stuff. Like when you go grocery shopping, even if you can't afford that big ass bag of rice, buy a medium sized bag of rice. It's like $5 or $6. I know rice is still cheap.
I buy 15 pounds at a time, and that's pretty cheap. And we go through that pretty quick.
And that's the thing. Like I eat rice every night now. Like I've added rice into my diet. I eat rice every night. Yeah. And I do. We always have rice on stock. I have a couple that I've stashed away just in case, but we also buy the big bags and we're always cooking with that anyway. So we always have rice on hand in my house. Yeah. Beans, on the other hand, we only cook that when I make my massive chili. So that's kind of just sitting there.
I don't do beans.
Really?
I don't do beans, but I'm willing to buy 50 pounds of it, because it's cheap enough, you know what I mean? And if that can keep me and my better half alive if shit were to hit the fan, or we could use that as like a supplement between buying other overinflated groceries, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
no, man. So it's just one of those things you got to watch out for. And we always try to, because meat's going to be one of the things that goes bad first, right? If shit ever hit the fan, everybody lost power, meat's going to be one of those things that goes bad first. And that's when, here we go, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, you're about ready to hate me. That's when guns come into play.
Bam.
Because you got to go hunting. If the shit ever hits the fan,
And you got to protect yourself against morons
Exactly.
fucking going to your property.
You're going to protect yourself against the martyrs. They're going to come in. They're going to try stealing your shit. You're going to need guns to hunt in the woods. You're going to need it to kill your deer, bear, chipmunks, whatever the fuck you can get your hands onto to get that nice meat. Yeah. Oh, you can fish. That's right. You can fish. Yeah, that's right. If you don't want guns, go ahead, grab a fishing pole. Make sure you cast in the line. You can fish. Let me put out there. Yes, there is alternatives. You can fish and eat as much freshwater and saltwater fish you can. But if you want some good hearty meat, red meat, you're going to need a gun to get yourself a deer, a bear, chipmunk, squirrel, whatever you can. You can't just wait for roadkill. So yes, guns are important in any society, whether you like it or not. And I'm waiting to hear what the new proposed gun laws are before I talk more about guns, because obviously that's a subject that I love to get heated on because I'm a gun owner. I love my firearms. And I believe everybody, as long as they're law-abiding citizens, should be armed. Matter of fact, speaking of law-abiding citizens with firearms, most recent shooting that happened in a mall. Did you read about that?
Dude, yes. Thank you for fucking remembering to bring that up, dude.
Yeah.
That's when the Second Amendment and the concealed carry, the right to carry, that is what it's for. That's what it's for.
It was a law-abiding citizen who went ahead and took down the perp. Now, mind you, I'm not sure if their mall is the same as our mall here in our state, but in our state, we have this thing, a little sign that says, no guns allowed.
In the mall?
In the mall.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I kind of get it.
You kind of get it, but here's the thing. Are criminals going to listen to that?
Of course not, man.
Who's the people that are going to listen to it? A law-abiding citizen. Who's probably not going to listen to it now because of all this crazy shit that's going on? A law-abiding citizen, as long as they're concealed carry and they possess a concealed carry weapon, they're going to be breaking the law because they're not taking that chance if a criminal walks through that door. Because are you going to depend your life on that security guard who gets scared shitless and goes hides in a bathroom when he's got an active shooter situation?
Dude.
You're going to deal with law enforcement who pussies out while multiple children are being shot and murdered in a classroom while the officers are too scared to go in there and take down the perp that just happened in Uvalde, Texas?
Yep.
Let's talk about it. See, this is now getting fired up. God damn it. Like, seriously, those cops were absolute pussies. And it's coming out more and more when the videos were released and they hung out in that hallway. They heard the shots being fired in that classroom. They signed a contract to serve and protect the citizens of their state or their town. They knew they signed up that they had to put their lives on the line. Do you think a soldier, when he's being shot at in freaking Afghanistan or Iraq, is going to say, oh, fuck, no?
Yeah, right.
No,
I'm sure there are, but there's a very small percentage of them, you know.
I'm just saying that.
But yeah, that shit is cowardice.
As
cowardice.
A coward, exactly. And that's why we need more good law-abiding citizens to carry.
Totally. Right. So that strengthens the argument for having more people concealed carry and to be trained up on the whole safety aspect of it, to learn how to properly use the firearm, how to properly assess a situation. You know what I mean? I feel like basic self-defense training should be a part of like our general upbringing.
100%.
Like, and it's just for general protection and it's for fitness. Like, how many people get mugged, or how many senseless like rape victims or whatever are there out there because people are not trained in the ability for just some basic level of self-defense. I wish like jujitsu or something were like a mandatory thing to do in middle school, high school. I don't know, man.
I mean, imagine if that was taught to that poor teenage girl who got sodomized in a bathroom by that boy that said he identified as a female.
Right. And if she knew how to fucking choke a dude out.
Exactly. If she had the training to protect herself, that incident might have not happened. She may have defend herself and taken down the perp.
Yeah. And if everybody's empowered with the ability to defend themselves, then that alone is going to be enough to snuff back a little bit of the people that are doing that shit, right? Because it's like, why are you gonna go and try to mug this dude? Because like, everybody's got like some sort of basic level, so it's like it's not gonna be easy,
Right.
like you might still get it, but it's like you're probably gonna get hurt, and it's probably not gonna be worth the $4 in a shitty Timex watch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I just yeah, but I agree. I think firearms, I think there should be more people trained properly, educated properly, and like feel comfortable and confident on how to safely operate a firearm and have a good knowing of when it's to be used and not.
Exactly.
More people doing that, the less likely people are going to be stepping out of line.
Right. And listen, I would love to, if anybody out there who may be against the Second Amendment or against guns or would like to argue with us within this fact or anything we talk about on the show,
Yeah,
or
debate or discuss. You don't have to argue. We could just have a civil conversation.
well, that's what I always hope for. It turns into an argument. But listen, if anybody ever wants to come on the show to talk about anything, feel free to email me on air at themarkgshow.com. We are looking to bring on more guests. I would like to have a guest on weekly. Typically, Thursdays would be a reporting night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm always looking to have guests on. I did want to jump off subject a little bit because we kind of veered way off subject. We started talking about guns. But I do want to make a comment real quick because someone kind of looked at me a little funny. I want everybody to know I 100% respect our men and women in uniform. 100% respect our law enforcement officers. I do not agree, nor do I like how those officers acted in Uvalde, Texas. They could have handled that differently. They could have manned up and taken care of it. It took one man whose kid was in that school and his wife to go and rescue his kid. He was a border patrol agent who rescued his wife, rescued his kid, went back in there and eliminated the target. One man who had the balls the size of fucking Kingdom Come went in there and knocked the fucking subject down.
Balls the size of Texas.
That's it.
Did you, so just to kind of jump back and stay on that segment, did you see that clip of that cop that choked his female fellow cop?
I did not.
So there's a situation where there was a cop was arresting somebody, and he was arresting him in a pretty aggressive manner, saying that he's going to mace him and pepper spray him because the person didn't want to put their hands behind their back. And so the cop started getting a little like overly aggressive with the person, right? And so as he started like really starting to get physical with the guy, this female officer stepped in and like told him like, hey, like this is too much. Like you don't need to do this. And then he turns around and he just looks at her and he goes and he fucking grabs her by the throat and like pushes her back. And he's like, I'll talk to you later. Don't ever fucking touch me like that again. And then he goes and like finishes the arrest. But I from what I understand, he was
a police.
Shit. Sorry.
So from what I understand, I think he was put on administrative leave or something. I do believe there was some sort of recourse, but it's like, that's the kind of officer, like you can't have those cowardly officers. You can't have that loose. You can't have this loose fucking cannon. Yeah. So play this fucking thing. Turn that volume down a little bit on that clip, on that video clip right near that play button. There's that little play button.
Sergeant faces felony charges after body cam video shows him putting his hands on a fellow officer's neck during an arrest. No. Sergeant Christopher Police of the Sunshine Police Department in Florida faces 4 counts, including battery on a law enforcement officer and tampering with evidence, which are third-degree felonies, as well as misdemeanor charges of assault on a law enforcement officer and assault on a civilian male, according to the state attorney of Broward County. The charges stem from an incident in November of last year when police showed up to assist officers in the middle of an arrest.
Just get in the car!
Body cam shows officers trying to get the suspect into the squad car.
Get in the car, you're inside!
After he's in the back of the car and in handcuffs, Sergeant Police confronted the suspect.
Wow.
soul from your body.
The female
Oh,
officer
yeah, he
is
said he's going to pull his soul from his
no.
fucking body.
him away from the suspect, and that's when he goes after her.
Jesus. And then it's cops like that that give the other
Police
law
have pleaded
enforcement
not
officers a
guilty
bad
to
name.
all of the charges
Bingo.
against him.
This would be the officer who would go ahead and shoot someone just to shoot them,
Bingo.
and would be the one that starts causing these major riots that you see that's happening in the cities, all because of one bad apple.
Totally.
That's the shit that kind of pisses me off, right?
Bingo,
Because
dude.
everyone believes that that one bad apple represents all of them, which is absolutely.
So here's the thing: for people who have been in and out of the system, they get to know the cops on a deeper level than you and I would ever know, right? As like pretty generally like law-abiding citizens, right? So I have a buddy who's been in and out of the system, and his perspective on the police department and police in general is obviously a little bit different. He describes them as a gang, right? Because they kind of, when you have you need to have a certain level of aggressiveness and like gnarliness to be a cop, especially if you're going to be in like Lenox or like South Central LA or the Bronx, Atlanta, Georgia, downtown Chicago, fucking Arlington and Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Like you're the Miami-Dade, where this dude is from, or what do they say, Broward County. Like those are different types of people that need to be cops in that area.
Right.
But that lack of self-control, that's dangerous. That lack of self-control, and then the ability as a human flaw to be corrupt, right? Like it's a really fucked up situation, and it's hard to control. And I think that's why we end up with so many shady cops, because they need to they can't just go into a neighborhood and just arrest all the fucking MS-13 guys, right? Like you have to roll up in there, you have to know who's who, you got to find out who's Paco. You know what I mean? You got to dissect that neighborhood, and like you can't, like you got to like befriend, quote unquote, these people, right? To like get to like that intel, and you got to, like, I don't know, man, that's like why cops get jumped into gangs and shit. It's like you get in too deep, right? Because that's like just what happens.
Exactly.
So, but with that being said, that cop is a piece of shit.
Yeah, that cop is definitely a piece of shit. Speaking of piece of shit, I love how you ended with that word. Let's talk about another piece of shit today. Are you all ready for this one? The biggest piece of shit goes to, well, you guessed it, Hunter Biden.
I was wondering if you forgot about this or something.
I did not forget about good old Hunter Biden here. So this is a leaked video of Hunter Biden, which is considered to be the worst leaked video yet. So let me read a little bit to you about this. It's a leaked video of Hunter Biden having a phone call with a woman talking about an article written by Maureen Dowd and showing Hunter smoking something as surface, and it doesn't look good. Gotta love that white powder. Although it is not.
I smoke rock.
This is his girlfriend at the moment. This could also have been his brother's widow. But again, it's hard to judge by just the voice. So we are assuming it's unclear who the woman is. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Another one of his potentially paid
opinions. Dowd's article was released in 2019. So
from 3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming out in the open now, which is weird, right? We're getting a lot, but this is the stuff that they held back, right? When the elections were happening, a lot of
midterms, yeah,
exactly. But now it's coming out again, like, okay, fuck this shit. Here it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it up to full screen so I can share it as a full screen here, and we're gonna bring it up on the screen here in just 2 seconds. Everybody, please bear with me as I'm doing production and as the host of the podcast all in one. Oh, look at that ugly mug. All right, here we go. Let me go ahead and
haggard, man.
He does look haggard. Let me turn down the volume real quick. All right.
Well, I think we should discuss that while you're there.
Okay,
yeah.
But why did you call me at 9 o'clock in the morning to tell me that? On the morning that the Maureen Dowd article comes out?
I didn't know about Maureen Dowd.
Well, you did before you started talking to me,
You
Allie.
wouldn't attack me. That you would be a bit more humble.
I did
But
not
I was
attack
wrong,
you.
and it pissed me off.
I didn't attack you.
You said I'm going to use against you.
No, I said you.
I'm pausing it for a second. Just look at Hunter Biden's face real quick. Is anybody else wondering if Joe Biden's wife may have had good sexual intercourse with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. No.
If you look at that face right now, it kind of looks like a younger version of Arnold.
You're tripping.
Okay. Here we go.
You
Allie,
said I haven't
I
been
don't want to
supportive.
give you
You didn't
information
notice
about
I
this
was being
program
supportive.
because
Okay.
I'm afraid that you'll use it against me as not
Okay.
being
I
enough.
can't keep talking. We're going to go round and round in
I'm not
circles.
arguing, Allie. I'm asking you.
Okay. I don't know. I think we should schedule a visit and we'll talk with the therapist. I'm not going to continue to argue, and I don't want to talk and make things worse.
You gonna respond to her, Hunter? I mean, or are you just gonna keep hitting that?
He's hitting that rock, baby. He's got to get that hit.
What the fuck? Like, dude, he's completely ignoring her, taking a hit off his rock. Yeah. Like, dude, I want to get more of the leaked videos, but you got to be careful, right? Because when you're going through this stuff, you really got to be careful when you're pulling this leaked stuff out because there's certain things.
Oh, man. That shit is so funny to me.
It is like, but you think about it, like,
if that was Trump's son,
oh, dude,
you know what I mean? Like, it would just be nonstop coverage. But because it's Biden, it's like they pretend like this fucker never existed.
Right, exactly. And that's the shit that pisses me off, right? And of course, Hunter Biden's laptop got pushed underneath the rug. It was called fake news, Russian propaganda for the longest time throughout the whole election. Just a couple of months ago, it's finally being caught up against all the mainstream medias now. Oh shit, Hunter Biden's laptop is legit. It truly does have some bad stuff in there. He does call his dad the big man. I mean, all this stuff comes out now. Mainstream media is starting to cover it slowly as I feel like we're on the verge of seeing Biden being pushed out. I think what we were talking about, even though, once again, views and opinions of myself and my guests and my brother on the show, entertainment purposes only. But a lot of shit that we were saying at the beginning during the election, stuff like that, when people were calling us propagandists or fucking making shit up, and this is all freaking conspiracy theory, is now coming to light as, oh shit, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's legit. It's true. Like, how much more of this conspiracy theory stuff that we've been talking about is going to shine light here and start coming facts?
So some things are cover-ups, right? And
Right.
then you have that, what I would hope is a fake nuclear hoax into New York.
I'm absolutely hoping that's fake.
Right. So that's what I'm hoping for. So you have this like legit stuff, which is this laptop, which is pretty legit. Like, that's something, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
100% with you, Leanne Sharp. For those who can't see this, obviously they're listening to us, Apple, Spotify, and so forth. Leanne Sharp just commented on Facebook, says, I'd hate to see Harris as president or Pelosi. And I 100% agree with you on that one.
Man.
Speaking of Pelosi, supposedly she just hired the top of the line defense attorney for her husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be going to Taiwan in August. And that's why they sent out that Reagan ship to the, yeah. And so something might pop off soon.
Well, let's just see. Let's put it this way. We've been streaming now for about an hour and 3 minutes into this podcast. We've fed a lot of information out here, and I plan on digging a lot more, and I'm hoping to have a guest on as well.
Entertainment purposes, opinions, snippets of other people's information.
All right. Please do this information as you advise. The only thing I can really give to you guys is my kind of closing statement. I understand times are tough. Money is tight. But if you can, every time you go grocery shopping, pick up 1 or 2 extra items, non-perishable foods that you can stash away to keep it and start prepping. Although I would hate to say that it could be too late, but then again, it's never too late. So as long as you can get some food stored away for if anything ever happens, whether it be something that's man-made or whether it's just Mother Nature, Anything can happen. And you should always be prepared no matter what. So, yes, in the words of Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter and Twitch, hate to hear me say, folks, it's time to start prepping for anything. If you haven't already, I have. But you should be prepping. If anything, is COVID has taught any of us. COVID has taught us that we do need to start prepping. We do need to start making sure we have a lot more necessities. And so this way here, you're not out panic buying.
We need to all learn how to be self-sufficient again, because that's a skill that I feel has been lost by the vast majority of the population that lives in the larger cities, is the ability to self-sustain. They don't have the property, they don't have the money, they don't have the tools. It's kind of a shit show. So get what you can, do what you can, stay strong, stay healthy, eat the right foods.
That's it. If y'all want to be on our show, feel free to email me on air at themarkgshow.com. Once again, that's on air at themarkgshow.com, or hit me up on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at The Mark G Show. That is my username for all the platforms. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay blessed as always. Stay safe. And if anything goes down, or if we see any major events, I will try to go live and broadcast it, as we got some new software now where I can do that. So it's good stuff. I appreciate all of you guys. Gary, it's always a pleasure, my brother, to have you on the show.
Likewise.
I want to eat, so we're going to end now because my stomach's growling.
I got to grub too. I'm down with that.
Let's rock it out of here.
You've been listening to the Snowflake Melter, the Mark G Show. Mark is your everyday hardworking business owner that loves America, and he certainly doesn't mind telling it like it is. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. To send an email, it's on air at themarkgshow.com. And find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Mark G Show. See you next time.
I had it ended that way.